Well, good morning to you. and I hope that you're feeling well this morning, and that if you feel a bit under the weather, that you'll feel better soon. And this is going to be a psychic exploration workshop. And the lovely thing is, of course, that we don't have to go anywhere to do it. We can just be indoors or even sitting outside somewhere of our own private and get into the groove, as they say. Now, the thing about psychic work, by the way, this is going to be flower reading. You'll see I have a little array of flowers here, and I'll talk about them in a tick. The thing about psychic work is that everybody can do it, and we're all psychic. We're born that way. It's one of the human attributes that we have, and of course, as we get older, we learn that it's not so good to just go on our hunches and intuition and talk about psychic stuff, because it's associated with nowadays it's associated with spiritualism, and we all know that that's a terrible thing to be associated with. I think we're supposed to get messages from the devil or something. Well, anyway, I've never heard from him, fortunately, and I don't think anybody else has at all either who's involved in spiritualism. I hear that other religions regularly come into contact. Now, as you see, we've set up a little, there's a few flowers here, and what you will see is a candle, a sort of crystal ball, and all of those things are to do with, you know, spiritual beliefs. But we actually, you know, we can dispense with all those trimmings and trappings, and you know that all religions seem to involve candles and lighting candles and having lights and things like that. But of course, our light is within us, so we don't actually need extra outside of ourselves to invoke the Almighty or good spirit, come to that. So I'm going to get rid of this candle. I'm going to blow it out. It won't. Now, those of you who know what it's like to work with spirit know that we can be confounded and get too arrogant in our prognostications. And as I said, I'm going to blow this candle out now because we don't need it. So I am rendered incapable of blowing it. So here we go. No, it won't. And that will force me to just move it down, because it's really... The candle is flickering away there, refusing to be let out or put out. There we go. And this is our crystal ball, which we won't be looking in today, but I can teach you to do that as well. I'll have to ask them upstairs if it's possible to teach people by distance learning, because it's rather a sort of an individual practice, of course, but I've always done this with groups of students, so I don't know, in fact, if it's possible to do it at arm's length, as it were, as a virtual workshop. But I'll ask them, and if you think it's something you might like to look into, we'll do that another time. So I'll get rid of that then, right? So we've got rid of the candle, and we've got rid of the crystal ball. What are we left with? Flowers. So I picked these today because what I will tell you is that those of you who might have done the string reading with me, it follows a similar pattern. See, psychic work has similarities in it, and it means that you can actually, once you can read something in a psychic way, you can literally read anything. but these sort of things are very nice because people like them. And I mean, I'm hoping that you might have had a bit of practice with your strings, and friends have been uplifted and amused and so on by it. But here we have flowers. Now, sometimes fresh flowers aren't available. Sometimes then artificial flowers. So how is it possible to read an artificial flower for somebody? Well, in exactly the same way as you could read anything else. I will explain to you the method that we use, and I'm sure that you'll have a bit of fun. And of course, I will demonstrate by doing some flower readings, because otherwise that wouldn't be... Oh, Sue Willison. Oh, I say, Sue was a recipient of one of the very, very first messages that I ever gave under the mentorship of our wonderful emeritus president in spirit of the Institute of Spiritualist Mediums, Eileen Roberts. And Eileen Roberts called me out and made me give a message, and I believe I went to Sue, who was sitting at the back somewhere, and that was my first sort of public performance, as it were. So welcome to you, Sue. Now, I won't tell you how long ago that was. Rather a long time. Well, so here we are. We've established that we can read anything. Now, when it comes to flowers, yes, because sometimes it's more convenient to have artificial flowers. And if you have a bunch of artificial flowers, you can ask your friend, your recipient, to choose one. Right? This is the whole point, that they have one for themselves, a unique choice. So they will choose one of these. This flower, by the way, belonged to the famous medium Doris Stokes. And it's not a secret that Doris Stokes helps me out on all the time, as she does lots of people. So I'm not just I'm not boasting or anything at all. It just happens to be one of those things. And Doris does help many people from the other side of life. That is what she does by way of work still. Anyway, this belonged to her, and I have a few of these. I don't have that many left, because all the way through the years that we've been working together, she's been telling me to give them away one by one by one. The flowers that I had from her have been given away, but I still have a few, and this is one of them. So there we are, and the idea was that I could use this to demonstrate that. You'll see here a humble dandelion. This was picked for me by Kathy, and you'll see that looks quite difficult. Now, I shall tell you, first of all, remember that if we're doing anything psychic, although, psychic is of the physical and our spiritual work is of the spirit, so there's a difference between psychic and medium. I'm both. Most mediums are psychic, many mediums are psychic, but not all psychics are mediums, because that means that you have to be able to just lift your mental vibrations up that much in order to communicate with the world of spirit, which is on a much finer frequency than our own. Those in spirit often say to us that we're living in a fog. We think we're in the light, but we're actually in a fog. So lighting little candles like that makes not a jot of difference to them upstairs. And it's the light within you, within your darkness, the darkness of your inner body, that light shines. And the better you are as a person, and the more good you do for others and also for yourself, the brighter that spiritual light shines. And that's the only light that God needs, is to see your light shining brightly. No amount of candles can even match one little light of a human life. There you are. So now you know. But of course, it's lovely to have candles and all the rest of it. And human beings do reach out to something they can actually see or feel. But believe me, it's the light within that counts. Now, speaking of that light within, what we have to do before we do any work of this sort at all is to make our affirmation or prayer and say everything we do is done in love, in truth, and only for good, and for the good of others. And that way we are protected from, as you know, what we call the Umnagatis, as Charles Dickens called them, the nasty things that lurk around on this earthly plane. Yes, from the spirit world. There are some nasty things, but nothing to do with us. Now, I'm going to absolutely move this thing away, this wonderfully burning bright candle that I could not blow out. I do have a candle stopper here, but it would mean leaving you to it while I did it. So we won't bother with that. And we'll just put it here. That's it. This one I've dispensed with earlier. Now, how do we read flowers? Well, let's take this snowdrop. Now you'll see that there are two snowdrops. Now, just like human beings, no two snowdrops are the same. Even if you say they're both snowdrops, they are both different. So if you get two people in who pick up the same snowdrop, it's not the same, and the reading will be different. So I'll put that one back in. This is a little milk jug that I've employed as a water jug for this purpose. I can see roughly who's watching, but it's a sort of they're little white dots to me because I'm not wearing my reading glasses, as you can see. As I'm not reading anything, you'll be happy to know this morning, except for these flowers. And you know, the wonderful thing is that you don't need reading glasses, or you don't actually need to see them, because you can feel your way around them if you wish. But here we have this one, for instance. Now, say you have a friend who's picked this snowdrop, right? Now, what do? You start at the beginning. Remember, just like the string reading, you start at the beginning, which is the beginning of their life. Now, this is a reading. This is not a communication from spirit. This is not an individual in spirit trying to make communication and explain themselves and talk to their loved one here. This is you. Okay, you have a spirit within, but this is you and your instinct, your intuition, your psychic self actually operating on this earthly plane, and you're going to go with that feeling, with the feelings you get. First of all, hold on to the flower. You might like to close your eyes if you're otherwise sighted, and sort of concentrate on how it makes you feel. And you can feel anything at all. You'd be surprised. I wouldn't attribute this to anybody, except that it would be more fun. So I could say that I picked it for somebody who's watching. I see that Roy is watching. Roy is watching. All right, Roy, this snowdrop is for you. So I'm going to read this for you. Aren't you lucky? Now, the other thing is that you can assume, if you're doing a psychic reading, that people have already agreed to say that's all right, you can give them a reading. So here we are with this snowdrop. Now, you can see that it's very active. Look, it doesn't want to stay still. That's for a start. So that's quite a serious thing. This person that you're reading for loves to be active, doesn't want to sit still or stay still for very long. Right, I've got hold of this bottom bit here, the beginning of this person's life. Roy, this is the bottom of your life. As you come out into this wonderful world of ours, I get, oh dear, I get lots of tears around that. So I don't know if your mum had a hard time having you, or if there was a difficult time around your birth. Perhaps some turmoil in the world or outside that was affecting your mother, but certainly there was some turmoil there. Now and afterwards, Roy, if you don't mind, you can say yes or no or something, so we can all find out about you. Right, and then your pathway. little bit bumpy there, a little bit of a bumpy route there towards adolescence. But it seems to me that although there was a little bit of a hill to climb for you, you managed to get there okay. And I know roughly how old you are, Roy, I think. So we're taking this as the as how you are now. That's how you began, and we're here about a sort of, what do you say, about a third of the way through. And then you can feel that, you can put your hands on that stem and feel what you feel. Now, where my thumb is, feels a little bit of a lumpy go of it, but the actual root itself seems quite smooth and goes ahead very smoothly. And it seems that you would have found yourself at some point about halfway. So you must have had quite some different ideas and things taking you this way and that until you got about halfway to where you are now, Roy. And then suddenly you're sort of taken off, and it's been so enjoyable, I would say. I get these enjoyable feelings, right? And that's with my solar plexus, with my gut instinct, okay? So my psychic self is telling me that you found your way, and you just really took off. And I think also, I would say, as we approach this part of your life, which is very fruitful, there you are, you see, you can say that because there's all these beautiful little flowers, and see how they're moving about and so lively. And I'd say, you can say this, you can see this is a little bit droopy. So there was a little bit of sadness came into your life with a person at that point. So if that's now, say a few years ago, and perhaps you lost somebody very dear to you, someone got ill. Anyway, you moved on from that, and look, you sprung back, and here you have another couple of lovely blooms here. And I'd say there are two people who are very important to you. If you have more people than that in your life, you're lucky. Everybody should have at least two people who are very important to them. And that's what this says here. And then you've got another as well. Oh, wow. Absolutely reaching out and reaching upwards. So someone who is a very spiritual person is also in your life as well. And then, oh, you have all sorts of things going on here. So about 5 years ago, all sorts of things were going on, and this was also attached to somebody not being well. And as you progressed, which is what you did, and overcoming all sorts of difficulties and things, this is reaching upwards. And let's say that this is you, Roy. As you get to the very top of the flower, if you see something like this, look, beautiful, it's reaching up like this, and that's you reaching upwards and outwards, and taking on board all sorts of different ideas, and with actually new things on the horizon even. There we are. So where somebody might have thought that, oh well, that's that then, it isn't. There's something very nice there actually going to come to fruition for you. There you are. So there you are, Roy. I hope that you found that interesting. Will we ever know, we ask ourselves. But however, we'll put that down, and we'll put Roy's flower down. There we are. And I hope everybody's taking some interest out of this, and finding that they'd be able to do it themselves, because, you know, it's not something that we should just keep to ourselves. If we know how to do something, we should do it, and this is quite uplifting for people. And you know, psychic readings do have a use, because it's sometimes people need a mirror holding up to them, a sort of a psychic mirror, so they can say, oh yes, that was me, and that was me, and this is me now, and to be able to make adjustments or to get comfort from that, especially if they're feeling a bit down, as a lot of us are at this moment. So I think that the more flower readings we could do for people, the better. sorry, I can't. I'll have to put my reading glasses on because otherwise I cannot see what anybody is writing. So even if Roy was saying something like Yabu sucks, I wouldn't be able to read. Oh, Sandra, wave. Ah, and Victoria. Well, yes, we're very well acquainted in a spiritual circle. Now, let us. I suppose it's a bit. I don't want to bore you because if you want to do your own flower readings, and of course, ordinarily in a circle or in a workshop, I would be asking students to pick up a flower for themselves from somebody, or somebody would choose a flower and then ask them to read it for them. But of course, you will have to do this in absentia, as it were. So when I've finished warbling on and explaining it as much as I can to you in these circumstances, that you will be able to collect 2 or 3 flowers up from somewhere and get hold of a friend and say, can I read this for you? And then you can do that, and you'll find it's amazingly accurate. Now, this is why, of course, people get mixed up between psychics and mediums, because it can seem as if somebody has got a spirit connection. But of course, the only connection with spirit is their own spirit, you know, helping them towards this, not up there. So look, now I've got here a bluebell, and it's a lovely purpley colour. And I know that there's somebody watching who likes purpley colour flowers, purpley everything really. So here is a purpley bluebell. So there you are, and that will be Hannah. So this is a reading for Hannah, and I will say it. Here we are. Here's the beginning of your life, Hannah. That's the beginning, and you'll see how it's rather twisty there. It's not really that straightforward. It hasn't been that straightforward for you. So there was a little bit of a problem around when you were born, and there was a lot of love there. Oh, so much love. Not just your mother, but everybody else that was around at that time was just pouring love there. And this is what I feel here. And really, it's almost like it's sticking. It's sticking. So I feel this sort of stickiness, and I feel that you're absolutely, you know, not just having all this love sticking to you, but you are sticking to life. You are battling through there, and you have all this love uplifting you as well, even though you are not aware as a baby and as a small child. But as you grew, you encountered a few difficulties there. Look, it's a bit curved, so that shows that somebody's had a few difficulties there. It's not straightforward at all, but there it's leveling out. It's leveling out, and it looks as if you've been shown how to go forward, and you're on your way there, and you're going towards what looks like some very interesting parts of your life. So you've managed to overcome all of that, and there you are. So look, this is about sort of maybe the last 5 years. We'll take this. You see, you can take a chunk of the flower as a number of years, and so we'll say 5. My gut instinct tells me there's about 5 years worth of stuff there. And look at all these wonderful little nodules of, we'll take these as nodules of learning, all the different aspects of living and life and people. You've been surrounded by lots of people that you have really loved and liked, and people that have helped you. And I also get a love of music and dance here. It's like I'm looking at a whole beautiful array of of people dressed up. I would say that you love dressing up, that you love nice clothes, you like lovely smells and lovely colours. And I would say that you're the kind of person who loves to go outside and see a rainbow and imagines how it would be to be in amongst that rainbow, and you have a wonderful imagination. And I would say that you have lots and lots of people around you at this time who are only wanting the best for you and wishing you well, and that you have a lot of talent for colour work. So it may be, Hannah, that you could actually read a flower for perhaps your parents, and that would be a lot of fun. You could tell them what you think about them, and actually they would have to accept it because it's your psychic self working. And of course you are very, very psychic. You know when people are going to ring up or when they're going to come to the house, and then they turn up. So that is being psychic. And I say also that you have a love of animals, and that's here as well. And I'd say that somewhere or other there were a lot of little animals that you liked, like a little litter of puppies or something that you had to do with. But that's all here. There. So I hope that. And here, right at the top, you've still got lots to do. There's lots to do for you, and I can see. You see, if you can see that, everybody, can you see this, peeps? There's a little sort of, that looks like a little butterfly at the top, little butterfly wings, and to me also it looks like a little bunny rabbit. So there you are. So to finish, I will give you a beautiful purple bunny and say God bless to you, Hannah. I hope you've enjoyed your flower reading. There you are. And perhaps we will find out whether that was fairly accurate. There. Well, I hope that that all of you are enjoying this. Now, I see that Karen is watching, and I know this is a difficult day for Karen because she is going to be attending a funeral today, and nobody likes doing that, and especially somebody very close. And I will say to Karen that I won't give you a psychic reading because it's not appropriate this time, but I know that you are being looked after, and the person whose body is being dispatched today is fine in the realms of light, on the other side of life, and he is going to be attending his own funeral, as many people do when they request that, and he will be having a good laugh. So that is my message. There you are, you've got a message. Now, somebody who needs a reading because they're very anxious today. Oh dear. Well, you know, psychic readings like these flower readings are very uplifting. They're not actually messages from the spirit world, and I always feel that they are messages from spirit that actually lift our spirits in that way, elevate our spirits, I should say. But considering all the aggravation that everybody's going through at the moment, and because you have said, and I can't even see the name there, but anyway, I will give you, without a name, I will give you a reading. So to the person who says, "Dear Lynn, I feel so anxious today, can I have a reading please?" This is for you. So this is another snowdrop. Now, like human beings are all the same but we're all different, snowdrops are the same but different. So this one was for somebody else, that goes there, and this one is for you. I wish that I could, I don't know if I'm able to, I'm frightened to even touch the screen in case in case I can't see, but anyway, perhaps you'll say again who you are. Right, Now for some upliftment. Right, a reading. Now, what I have to say to everybody is that if you follow all the instructions, you should be fairly safe. Right, now, here we go. This is reading here. So we've got the beginning down here. Remember, you're all supposed to be following this as a lesson. And this makes me want to go round and round and round in circles. Look, it's making me do this. So not knowing which way to turn. This is only just at the moment, okay? But your early life was, oh dear, it was a bit difficult, shall we say, okay? And I don't know how old you are, but you know, as you approached your teenage years, it seemed to get a little bit better for you, and you met lots of different people at that time, and perhaps you weren't sure which way you were going to turn. And certainly, you know, whenever you're under a little bit of stress, this is the result for you, is that you feel as if you're sort of trapped and you're going round and round looking for a way out almost. But I can assure you that you will get some rest from all this, and as your life continued, you actually seem to avoid some of the worst pitfalls, is what I can say to you, according to the stem of this snowdrop. And it's racing towards a better kind of life for yourself. So you were very aware that you needed to change and make your life better for yourself. And therefore I would say that my gut instinct is saying that you had some difficulties put there by other people in your life. But you managed to get out of that, and suddenly you saw the way forward. You see, I'm looking at this leaf here, and it's absolutely sure of itself. It's going, that's the way I'm going. So I would say that that is what happened to you, that you decided that you were going to take a particular path, and that was a good one and a good choice for you. But you see, there's still you're bobbling around there. I would say there are 3 people in your life that are very important to you. These blooms could represent yourself, your parents. It also represents children, young people who are around you, and it also represents good friends as well. So although it's bobbling around at the moment, there we are, look, I can tell you that is holding firm, and that everything's going to be just fine there. So that's your reading from these snowdrops, and bear in mind that you have this wonderful leaf here that is just shooting off upwards, knows exactly where it's going, and hold on to that you know where you're going, and it will lead you on to good things in the future. There you are. So so that's your snowdrop, and I hope that was useful to you. And as I say, I've lost your name. I can only see the last bit of your message, or at least I can see that, as I've now changed my glasses. So I'll put that down. I hope that that you're finding this of interest, that you'll be able to actually do some readings for people yourself, because you know, and like I said, you know, all the trimmings and trappings, you don't need all of them. Just you know, just ask them to pick a flower and read it away for them. Now, and don't forget, you have to say, before you start anything like this, you say an affirmation that everything you do is done only for good, truth and light and love. There you are. And if you want to add on for the good of other people as well, why not? Just as long as your intentions are clear. Now, what about this? The artificial flower reading. In fact, you can get more perhaps from something like that than you can from an ordinary flower, because if you're very unlucky, somebody will turn up for a flower reading and say, I brought this. Well, What would you make of that? You know, that is the one straight line. Well, it's not exactly straight. That's the whole point. And then you get this thing at the top. So what you'd have to do is try not to look too shocked and say, yes, I'll read that for you. And, you know, start at the beginning and then move up. Now, however old that person is, say that person's 50, okay? This person's 50. You start down there, that's 0. You get to there is about 25, and you get up here. That's ordinarily. But then what you have to do is say, you know, look at the actual stem itself. Now, this is sort of fairly sort of curved. There's a little crook in it here. Whoa, and a little crook in here. So that could indicate something dodgy happening in their life at those times. Okay. So again, you can check out how you know what age they might have been by the distance travelled. If you're saying that's 50, you're looking at maybe 20-ish and maybe 40-ish. So at 20-ish there was a hiccup, and at 40-ish a hiccup. You can make what you like of the hiccups because you can tune into your own gut instinct, your psychic abilities, and get some response about what that might have been. So there you are. This latest one here at about 40 for this person would have been maybe a love affair going a bit wrong. And then you get up here and you get all little spiky bits and lovely, you know, and forget that it's a dandelion and feel how lovely and soft that is, and things have got much better for this person. So I think what I'll do, I'll give it to you, Carol Beams. There you are. So I've just read for you. There. So here we go. The artificial flower. Now, this is really the last bit of the demo because I don't want to bore everybody, and I want to make it so that you can go off and practice yourself. Right, what are the bits here? This is marvellous. Look, it's all bended round and there's things dangling off it. That's a psychic stream of delight because there's so much that you can get from this. You know, compared to this poor dandelion, there's a whole wealth of information that you can pick up from this. So, and don't forget, you can say to the person, oh, hold it in your hand and put some energies into it so you can read the energy. You don't have to do that really, but it's fun. So anything you can do to make things fun at this time, why not? So here we are, we've got Doris's artificial carnation there. It's red. You can take something from that colour. So you've got here somebody who is an absolute live wire, lots of energy. They've done lots and lots and lots in their lives. I won't waste the opportunity. If anybody wanted to read, well, never mind, we'll just go with this. If anybody can take any of this out there, okay. So I'm going to do this reading, right? So this is how you do it. Take that as the beginning, okay? This person's shot into this world because it's really smooth there, woof, like that, and straight down and out, down and out. And here they come, but oh, they're just really sort of, it's like they're on a sort of a toboggan ride, and they sort of hit the very bottom, and then it turns. So they've had a really rotten time of it in their childhood, but all of a sudden, wallop, it gets better for them. Look at that, that's looped round, and then that goes up there, and we get a wonderful, lots of things happening, lots of activities. Wow, look at that. Perhaps that's to do with school, and they get helped in their schooling. They go on and do more and do lots and lots of studying, and they make friends and they meet somebody. Look, there's a heart. You can actually see a heart, but unfortunately, it comes together. That's good. That is a heart shape. Do you see? Can you see that heart that I can see here? I'll show you a bit nearer. That makes a heart. What I saw was that it came apart and then went back together again. So that could be something like that happened in their lives. And then off again, and it looks like they had a child. Look, there's a little something springing out of that love. and then it goes on, and oh dear, and look what's happened to the heart. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. So somebody's lost their person that they loved there. Oh, what a shame. Look, see, you can see it's half the heart. And then, but then they go on, and look, they get another chance, because there's another bud that's come off there. Look at that. So they're doing all right. They found somebody else to love. There we are. And we go up there, and that's like a beautiful religious symbol that looks like a sort of lyre. You know, in the old days they used to play a thing called the lyre in the Bible times. There, can you see it? Looks like a lyre. And then up again to this beautiful burst of colour and energy of the flower itself, and there they bloomed. So now they are blooming, and they will go from strength to strength after that. There. So that's the reading from this flower. There, I'll put that down now. What we're left with are these little bluebells and a dandelion leaf. Ah, and my cream jug that was very handy for putting water in and flowers. There. So, and of course this lovely cloth here that I put is actually over that tin that I used for the string reading. Voila! Yeah. There's the tin. But there. I hope very much that you enjoyed that little interlude with me and this little workshop. I hope that you find people that you can, you know, if you're in isolation with somebody else, it's some way of whiling away the time. Even if you think you know them very, very well, you'd be surprised at what you can pick up psychically. But I don't want to sort of start trouble at all. And Tony. Anyway, so I hope that you will be able to utilise those little psychic skills that you can develop, and the more that you practice, the better you get, and it's something that people like and can uplift the spirits at this time. So it's sort of almost like a spiritual party game, okay? And it can while away the odd 10 minutes, and of course if it leads to a dispute and argument, best to go in another room, but and take your flower with you. But I hope that you've enjoyed today's little workshop, and the next one I do, I guess I'll have a word with my helper on the other side there and see whether we can do something with crystal ball reading. And of course I would then obviously have to read a crystal ball for you as well, in order to demonstrate to you how to do it. But the other thing is that people would have to have such objects in order to practice. So you know, flowers are usually okay, string is usually okay, you know, these are things that we have around us. Crystal balls, not so much, especially when we're warned against them. But there we are. And that candle, by the way, is still going. It did not want to be put out, you remember. I tried to blow it out, if anybody doesn't know, and came on late, and it refused. And I'm so what's the name minded, I'm going to try and blow it out now. There. Yes. So you see, we came to the end of our session together. I was allowed to blow out the candle. No joke, that took about 10 goes, did it not? Or am I exaggerating? And it still wouldn't go out at the beginning of this session, but now it's out. Here we have the crystal that we'll have a go at next time. And I hope that it's given you a bit of a cheery start to the day if you're here around the British Isles. If you're in America, that you know, things are going well for you. And if you're in Australia, we wish you a very good night, or it's probably the middle of the night. Anyway, I shall say God bless you, because I do nothing without God. That's the other thing. And I think that all of us at this time have been saying our prayers and sending out healing thoughts for everybody who is sick and ill at the moment, especially those struggling with this virus. And of course, the leader of our country, our Prime Minister, the leader of the party, you know, he's our Prime Minister. He's battling away with this virus at the moment, and we all wish him well, and I'm sure that all our prayers will be answered, as they are answered for everybody, rich, poor, you know, important, not important. We are all important to God and important to somebody else, and that's the big thing. So I shall say God bless you all, and I'll give a little service as well, perhaps tomorrow. This evening is the first night of Passover for the Jewish religion, and it's very celebratory because, of course, the Jews were delivered out of bondage. They'd been slaves in Egypt for hundreds of years when they managed to get out, and this celebrates that. And so my thoughts are with all of those who are celebrating that event tonight. And of course, as we move towards the weekend, there are various services and so on going on, because it also coincides with Easter. And I will say God bless you all. I hope that whatever festival you have a good one, and that you've enjoyed our little time together today. And I will do a service, a spiritualist service, a Christian spiritualist service, a New Christian Spiritualist Society service on here. I think tomorrow evening we'll have our live one going out from Littleport. Reverend Nick Brown will be doing that, and I might just say a couple of words on that as well. So I'll say God bless you. Bye for now. Bye.